Alright, and welcome. This is Nuke Marine, and this is Let's Learn Japanese, a course series for the self-study of Japanese from basics and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. Alright, so today is a little bit different. I'm calling it just a January Q&A, question and answer, for the Let's Learn Japanese project. It could be about the channel, the Discord, the method, the Anki decks, it could be anything. So we got the Anki deck set up, got the subreddit set up if you want to do that. I posted nearby that, hey, posted on a few places that, hey, I'm going to be doing a Q&A and whatnot. Okay, so the idea is going to be, assuming everything's working good, go to the Discord. The link should be in the title, in the title of the Twitch stream. In fact, let me go and repost this. Can I do that? Let's see. Copy. Okay. So occasionally I'll just repost that because I don't know how Twitch works. Like, it may not keep the previous comments, so those go away, so you don't get to see them. I don't know. I'm not really I'm streaming on Twitch, but I don't really know how good Twitch works. Okay, so the basic idea, and I kind of purpose this particular channel here, just renamed it Nuke's live stream chat. Yeah, so last month I posted, hey, I'm going to do a Q&A. So I created a channel in the Discord, January Q&A, where anybody can go and post questions, and had a few questions. Most of the questions got answered by text. What I'm going to do is go through and answer those again, or discuss them, going through. I'm going to be on the live, my voice stream is going to be on the Discord, so people can pop in and talk to me there. What I would recommend is, okay, good, alright. Kilbrook saying, okay, yeah, it does keep them. Alright, then I won't just, maybe I'll just go and delete this one. Can I delete? It's not showing that I can. That's no big deal. Alright, so we're going to be doing so with the January Q&A, I'll just go and read through the questions, make a reply there, and hopefully the idea is, as time goes, as I'm doing the text version of things, people will pop in and then we can just do a discussion. Now right now I've opened it up to everybody. You don't have to be a Patreon member to do the voice chat or text on the Discord in that particular channel. Now you're limited to the Nuke's live stream channel and the January Q&A channel, but I'm probably going to be looking at the when we start the discussion, I'll be on the Nuke's live stream channel to listen to or read text or see pictures posted. Since it's open to everyone, I may have to lock that down quick, and I'll just say, okay, hey, look, limit it to people who are members, depending on the situation. Because there's going to be trolls. There's always trolls. It's just the nature of the system. Alright, let's see. Kilrog saying he's going to be hanging out. In fact, I better not do that. I got to be really careful about this. In fact, let me go see something real quick. Alright, so that's somebody who was asked a quick question. 1,108. Wow, that's a lot of reviews at Anki. That's, yeah. There was a point where if you got that many reviews, sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, you can just go through it. Just go through it normally. I mean, you would have done the reviews anyway. Just, hey, if you were going to do an hour a day, you've been doing an hour a day, and you took 2 weeks off for whatever reasons, life happens, and you come back and, oh my God, you got 2,000 reviews. But if you think about it, those are the 2,000 reviews you would have done over the previous 2 weeks anyway. So just review normally. It's going to be this big number, but it's going to slowly eat away. And don't rush it. Just do what you would normally be doing. It'll happen. The reviews will go away naturally. Just don't add any new cards. So. I think that's the thing. A lot of people where Anki kind of messed up is that it defaults to mixing in new cards with reviews, and that's a bad default in my opinion. Change that immediately. And I think you have to do it in preferences of all things. So it's not even a card system. It's yeah, right here. Show new cards after reviews, and here's a mix new cards and reviews. That's the default. Show new cards before reviews. You should not do that. I don't think there's a reason you should do that. Well, okay, I take that back. Everyone's going to have their own reasons, but yeah. Strip HTML when pasting text. Okay, I can buy that. Show next review time. Alright, anyway, close this. And I set the next day for me is 4 hours past midnight, so 4 in the morning. Learn ahead minute, just keep the default 20 minutes. Time box, I don't do time boxing, although, you know, that could be effective depending on what type of person you are when you come to review. Alright. If you see the decks, I kind of like got it. This one I'm going to be deleting. I'm making Adventure Time deck for a student. She loves Adventure Time. She's one of my adult students. Loves Adventure Time, so I thought, okay, let me go and make a Subsessor S deck for her to learn English using Adventure Time. So I created a deck for the first episode, just to demonstrate to her how it works and trying to get her to figure out how to use it, because it's she's Japanese, and you know, explaining how to use Anki can be kind of difficult to do. Anki, you know, he says it's user friendly, it's just really picky about who its friends are. You have to fight Anki a lot. That's why a lot of people have kind of gone to pre-packaged SRSs, because you know, you don't worry about creating decks, you know, or these like thousands of decks are available, trying to find what is a good deck. Then, and plus there's a problem if it was a good deck but it happened to be taken off the directory on the Anki directory, then you can't find it anymore. You got to find it through another source, and you never know if what you're downloading has been corrupted in some way, which could be corrupted. You got to be really careful sometimes, and you know, that's a lot to ask for someone who's just starting, who doesn't know. And usually the default is, well, just search on the internet, figure it out yourself. And for someone who's beginning and maybe just kind of timid and just does not know what to do, that could be asking a lot. So sometimes it is good to do the hand holding. Let's see, Phil. Hello, long time no speak. Hey, hi. All right, so let's go get to the Q&A, and I'll get back to the Anki thing. All right. So again, this is Let's Learn Japanese. So let's start off things. Let me just do an introduction. So let's just say I'm it's always a bad idea to show a fresh screen. In fact, let me see something. Alright, so this is the Patreon. So this is the Let's Learn Japanese. So it was called Suggested Guide for Japanese Literacy. I renamed it to Let's Learn Japanese for a couple reasons. One is it just sounds better when you first hear it. And yeah, and I think it works better in that I like it as the group aspect in it. I am more interested in getting people to learn Japanese. Alright, so Let's Learn Japanese. And it worked pretty good because it kind of plays off, because I was doing I worked at a Eikaiwa, and one of the books we use is Let's Go, Let's Learn More, Let's Talk. So I like the Let's part of it. And then, so Let's Learn Japanese works, and then it feeds into the other things I do, like Let's Read Japanese or Let's Watch Japanese, depending on the type of live stream I'm doing on Twitch, or later on it might be able to get back to YouTube whenever they give me back streaming rights. And there are patrons. Most of the, most of the patrons, I think, are, let's see, yeah, there's a few $1. That's basically just, hey, you get to see the hiragana, katakana, kanji deck, and you can make comments and you can post on the Patreon. That could be useful for people who just want to start off and see, okay, what is there to offer. Patron Basic is pretty much, is this okay? There's some Anki decks that I have that if you want access to, you can, but oddly enough, they're decks that I don't recommend anymore. But they're still useful. I mean, it's a Take Him deck, Core 2K deck. Yeah, I think I have one kanji deck, and a kanji deck for the like Kanji Optimized Part 2. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, I might also have some audio linked there if it's related to Core 2K, 6K. And the intermediate, you know, I've got the decks, I just haven't posted the links. I need to post the links to the decks. And then that's Core 4K, Core 6K, the next 4,000 words. maybe and when I'm making drama series now, the subs SRS dramas, then I'll post links to those decks as well in the intermediate section. I do feel like in the intermediate side of things, after you've got a couple thousand vocabulary under your belt, 500 or 1,000 kanji, you're at a really good point to start. If you wanted to, you could just learn Japanese through dramas, and you're not fighting the sentences. You're not fighting the grammar as much or vocabulary as much. So you actually are in most sentences you run into, you either know it or it's maybe got one new word. There may be times where there's lots of new words, and that's fine. The way I've got it set up, and I'll explain it later on in the Q&A, you can learn quite well. You can learn quite well. But I still recommend, though, is the structure part. Oddly enough, with all these tiers, the thing I've been sharing the most has been for free, and that's been the JLPT Tango, or the 1,000 Hajime Mashite, or 1,000, 1,500 or 1,000 word books that I've been linking to. So those are the ones that's been like recommended to everybody now. I mean, because they are very effective. They've been working real good. In fact, let me just get a picture of it up. Just because. Let me go to the archives. Because why not? And in fact, I'm almost done with the N3 book, as in studying it myself. Alright, so yeah, 1,000 essential vocabularies for the JLPT N5. Now, I call it JLP Tango N5. If you do a search for that, you're not going to find the books. You're just going to find discussions about the books. But just found an easy way to, because that's a very long title, 1,000 essential vocabulary for, that's just a long title, or Hajime Mashite, Hajimete no Nihongo Nyoryoku Shiken N5 Tango 1,000, or Sen. That's a long title. So it just makes sense that, hey, JLPT, because it's in there, and Tango for vocabulary, so that's the Japanese for Tango, and then and we'll just say N5 or N4, N3, because I don't recommend studying for a test, but the tests are so prolific, or on everybody who's studying Japanese. A lot of people who study Japanese know about it. That makes the most sense to then, talk about it in forms of N5, N4. Now, people who are self-studying, you say JLPT N5, and all of a sudden their mind shuts down. They're like, well, I'm not studying for a test, so I don't care about that material. Okay, this is still great. This is still 1,000 basic vocabulary words. You need this for Japanese, okay? You're going to be running into these words every day. I mean, yeah, every day is a pretty good idea of how often you're going to run into these words. Like, if you're just watching Japanese, let's say you've watched Japanese television straight for a day, 24 hours, you probably run into all these words at least once. That's how important they are. And again, I'm sure if I wanted to, I could do a statistical breakdown on word frequency use, and just as long as I know, like, hey, how many words essentially how many words have been thrown at you in a general Japanese discussion, that I could say, like, okay, yeah, these words have a 95% chance of appearing at least once in a, let's say, 24 hours of discussion. All right, now I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but I could probably create a time where we can create a probability of 95% of when these words pop up for N5, and it's a very short amount of time. N4, you probably have to do like 5 times that amount for all these words to pop in. So if it was like a day, 24 hours of Japanese, then this would be a week of Japanese. Play straight. All these words will pop up at least once, and then you got 3 weeks worth, so if that was a week's worth, then this would be 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, all these words are going to be popping up. Let's see if I got no, I take that back. And it's a little off on there, but basic idea. Let's go back. All right, now that we're done, let's actually do the Q&A. All right, let's learn Q&A. Okay, so the first question was, any estimation how many sentences one would need to be able to easily get an easier translation job? Or I don't know what you need for a translation job. Just being good in Japanese helps. And what you can do is be good at translation, and you can start translating now. And a good way to test yourself is translate stuff that's already been translated. Translate it, compare it to how another person translated it, or how the general translation went, and there you go. Just keep practicing. Do it sentence by sentence, and or paragraph by paragraph, and then later on get comfortable do it page by page. Maybe limit it to page by page before you compare your efforts to the efforts of another person, and just get used to that. There's a YouTube channel of a lady who is a Japanese translator, so she would be a good person. I don't remember. Just do a quick search on what I did to become a Japanese translator, and hopefully her videos pop up. And she actually has a very good channel, covers a number of subjects, and is pretty honest about what it takes for her to what she did to become a Japanese translator and what she does as a Japanese translator, and really offers good advice, because you're probably going to be doing it as spreadsheets. It's hey, break down all the sentences on a spreadsheet, and in the middle is your rough translation, and the end will be your fine translation. So do a rough one, and use all the tools available. I mean, Google Translate can be great to give you that good rough translation. That means you don't trust it. What you do is here's the actual Japanese, here's a rough translation, and you're looking at that, and then you may even have another column where it's just a little extra, another your translation, and then the final translation. It doesn't matter. I mean, but you're just basically having things side by side. It's sentence by sentence, and it works quite well. And so that's the workflow. Hey, Pero, yeah, Victor Jux. If you're typing Japanese, unfortunately, or I'm sorry, Spanish, I'm not going to be able to read it. So, apologies. All right, sentence cards have. So hopefully that's Captain Crunch. I'm sure somebody else answered in that way. Let's see. Sentence cards have been concerning me lately. It can be really easy to comprehend a sentence without truly knowing the vocabulary word that you are attempting to learn. I find context just gives away far too much. Well, that's fine. That's conversation. Context is meant to give away too much. Let's say like Narita e chichi no mukai ni ikimasu. Yeah, so I went to Narita to greet my father. I know the speaker is going to greet her father in Narita. The degree which I understand mukaeru is essentially irrelevant. Right, but if you see mukaeru used in so many sentences, the idea is like, okay, you know roughly what this word is, but you're going to be seeing it in other sentences, and then you intuitively get a feel for the sentence above what its literal English translation might happen to be. So that's why Anki, if all you did with Japanese is do Anki decks or do a set course, you're not going to be very good in Anki. I'm sorry, you're not going to be very good in Japanese. You're just going to have a potential to understand. The potential of Japanese is going to be high. The potential to understand Japanese is going to be higher as you learn more words in kanji and grammar. You have to immerse yourself in Japanese. You have to read Japanese. You have to watch Japanese. Oddly enough, some of the immersion, learning Japanese, is in itself a small form of immersion in Japanese. So that's what these example sentences are bringing. And this mukaeru, for example, for the N4, N5, and also N3 decks, is that you see this word pop up a number of times. So in different situations. So that's kind of the immersion there. That's why these books are recommended, because of the example sentences and the audio that goes along with it. But you have to then read Japanese and watch Japanese, to see hopefully start seeing these words put into use, and your brain starts associating. It knows mukaeru is greeting, and it's noticing, like, yes, for greeting someone who's come to a location. That's mukaeru. And then miyokuru is to see someone off who's leaving a location. Like, okay, you're there and they're leaving. That's miyokuru. To see them off. Alright. So yeah, don't worry. Yeah, sentences are meant to be giving you context. You're not, because it's, especially with Japanese, if you weren't given that context, you probably would not know what word is being asked for. I mean, just look up kakeru. I mean, if you do not have any, if all you're given is kakeru, there's like 30 things this thing can mean. Good luck. But with the sentence, and okay, yeah, that narrows it down. In fact, good thing about Japanese is that once you've attached something kakeru to a word, you might as well treat that as a new word. Yeah. All right, Captain Crunch asking. I experience this very often. Actually, 1,000 sense cards. Actually, okay. Oh, it's answering the question. And there's my answer to it. Yeah, and this person said, okay, I want to make a recommendation. He's going to try, like, oh, just hide the example sentence, just go with the word. I don't recommend that. Have that sentence there. I mean, you're never going to run into a word about. You don't want to fall in the trap of comprehending a word 100% of the time, like boom, boom, like okay, it's definitely this meaning in English. It's this. It's got this. Instead of have a feel for what the word means or how it's being used in Japanese, because you will fall in the trap where you know that these words are really good, and you start using those words everywhere, even in places where they should not be used, especially if you accidentally attempt output. So careful about that. Just trust sentences, because you're going to be running into sentences when you're learning Japanese. Rarely are you going to be running to a word by itself. Again, it's going to be as part of a sentence, so don't worry about that part. And don't sweat perfecting these Anki decks. The Anki decks are a means to an end. The means is to get you into when you're reading Japanese and watching Japanese, you understand more. You have the potential of understanding more of it without just from first read through. All right, it looks like someone had posted something not nice, so that got deleted, and we changed the settings of the. I thought the settings were already made on the Discord, but yeah. So you say I'm not going to be allowed to post? Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay, and this person kind of changed back into the way it was saying. Is the Tango grammar I+1? Now, here's the interesting thing. Because I+1 or N+1, depending on, it was a term by, I want to make sure it's Stephen Krashen. Now, Krashen is a linguistics professor. I'm assuming that's what he is. And he used the term and he kind of revealed the secret was that it's made up term. Okay. Now, what I was understanding N+1 is, and it's a reasonable one, is when you add an N+1 or I+1 sentence, in terms of what to sentence mine, an I+1 is a sentence you completely understand except for one thing. There's one thing in that sentence you don't understand. That's a pretty good I+1 sentence. Especially if it's a sentence from some place that you enjoyed, that came from something that you enjoyed watching or reading. So now, not only does it have something you don't understand, it's related to something you want to understand. Okay, so that's cool. So that makes it a good I+1. So it could be everything, and usually it's a vocabulary word. But sometimes it could be a phrase, and sometimes it could just be a everything in it you did know, but the context doesn't make sense. Why are they saying this sentence in the context of the overall story? And that could be an I+1. Now it's a little bit hard to add because you got to make sure the context is in there, and whatnot. And that could be part of the notes. So again, that's all I+1 when you hear about sentence binding. Now, what Krashen said, and he said it in the video, and I liked it, is that I+1 is when you're doing comprehensible immersion, the next thing your brain is ready to learn. That's it. It's like, hey, you know what? It's been watching all these Japanese shows, and all of a sudden it just saw Akai enough times where it just clicked that Akai is referring to this color of objects. Or you might see it with Midori. You learn like Midori is not green in English. Midori just is can be interpreted as green in English, but it also, or I'm sorry, not Midori. I'm sorry, but dark green in English. Then you got Aoi, which can be interpreted as green in English. It's not blue green, because again, we don't say a blue green. The traffic light is blue green. We say the traffic light is green. Well, Japanese say traffic light is Aoi in color. All right, and they're not wrong. All right, their language is saying interpreting that color Like the color of grass is aoi. So we might think, oh, okay, aoi is blue-green. Well, no, aoi is also blue. You know, you're going to be a color that is obviously going to be in English. You're going to call blue. You're not even going to have reference it as being green. So that's where your brain starts to accept it as starts learning it. I'm sorry, this is a bad example, but it's just a matter of, okay, the thing your brain is ready when you're during the time in which you're immersing is the next thing your brain's ready to learn. Okay? You're not forcing it, just it's going to be happening. And that kind of clicked in that what we want to do with Core 2K, I'm sorry, not Core 2K, what we want to do is, again, when we're learning vocabulary, we're kind of following I+1 in the idea of, hey, here's something new you don't know. That's the I+1 model we're using there. So maybe it's a good thing to use the term I+1. N+1 then can be the stuff that you learn through immersion. How's that? So I+1 is through study. N+1 is through immersion. And people hate the term I+1 because if you're a programmer, you save I, J, and K variables for just the for the loop nest. Okay, so it can piss people off if you keep saying I+1 in terms of anyway. But I like the idea. It's like, okay, hey, what you learn through structured study, that's I+1. So that's sentence mining, vocabulary list, kanji list, grammar, all that falls under the I+1 idea. And then N+1, yeah, we'll just say, hey, that's information you learn through immersion. The next thing you learn, like, hey, your brain was ready to learn it, you just happened to, the next thing your brain learned through immersion. And you may not even realize you learned it, but you have learned it. Sometimes it's overt, sometimes it's subtle, but it's going to happen. And by the way, I'm noticing that in my Japanese when I do my let's read. That's the stuff. Hey, I'm learning these words. There's the okay. I looked it up. Yeah, I saw the meaning, but I didn't really learn it. I didn't memorize it. But eventually, it sticks. Like namaiki, is sassy. And it was in reference to this young lady in Zero no Tsukaima. Okay, so that's where I kind of learned what it meant is through Zero no Tsukaima. But it just happened that this word popped up near the chapter 11 of the N3 book. And so, okay, cool. And now I added it because I wanted to make sure I remembered the how to write it in kanji. So that's why, for me, I add words, even if I know what it means when I hear it. I want to know what it means. I want to be able to write it out from memory using kanji. Now that's a heavier requirement as far as studying goes. So that's kind of the reason but I did know that word. So if I heard namaiki, I kind of knew, okay, yeah, someone who's, I'm basically thinking like a, sassy child. So maybe reference of, was it Tornado of Terror? Some One Punch Man character. There's this little chibi looking little character who, short, it looks like a young little girl. It's actually this 30-year-old lady, older sister. just happens to be psionic powers as stunted her growth. I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so cool. All right, I think I've learned something here. So let me just actually type that out. All right, so I+1. Okay, new thing you learn in structured. God damn it. Why not the structured study? Okay, N+1. Yeah, okay, that can work. Cool. Alright, cool. And N+1, again, I will say, that's just based on video itself crashing. I could be wrong. This could be my wrong interpretation. Let's see, Navy Dave saying konbanwa. Faded Console saying, he's saying konbanwa back to Navy Dave. And by the way, guys, if y'all pop into the voice chat, y'all can talk if you want. In fact, I'm gonna request, like, soon we move from the Q&A from the written down Q&A to spoken Q&A or discussion. Okay, so that was a long discussion on I+1. But yeah, boil it down. Is there's what you know, and then the one thing you don't know. That's the I+1. All right, and for people saying, hey, if you want to purchase a book, so all you need to do, send me a picture of your book with your username written on a piece of paper with the book, so I know, hey, it's your book, and I'll give you a link to the Anki decks. Or send me what a lot of people have been sending me a screenshot of their purchase confirmation. That's fine as well. I've given out links over 100 times. Now I can't say, like, some people get links to both most of them have been to the N5, but now it's starting to be a lot of them have been for the N4 books, and slowly N3 books are starting to take over as far as who's requesting links. So people are they're not just getting this Anki deck, they actually are studying the Anki deck, so that's good. That's because the biggest problem with Anki, people get a shitload. You got these people who got this Pokemon or this hoarders mentality. They got to grab all these decks. They got to have these decks, but they never study them. So you might as well not have them. Is this better? In fact, if you looked on mine, I deleted so much shit. Like I had a lot more decks than this. All right, I had the Core 2K. I just decided to get rid of it. I had Take Him. I decided to get rid of it. Now I do have another account where I have to keep these decks because that's where I keep them for editing purposes, reformatting. That way I can share them, and if there's an edit or something needs to be fixed, I can go to that and fix the error and share it. Same thing is in these, going to this drama deck. Now I have to make this deck and then download and share it immediately because I'm going to be editing that deck. And then what I'm going to be doing is deleting a lot of stuff. Like, don't keep shit. Right? If you're doing normal immersion, all right, let's keep this realistic here. If you're doing if you're doing daily immersion in the Japanese language, at least you're reading or you're watching or reading regular Japanese shows or Japanese books or whatever, or manga. It doesn't matter, as long as you're immersing yourself in Japanese daily at maybe 2 hours. Let's say 2 hours of immersion. You could probably be safe to anything that's spaced out over 3 months in JLPT Tango N5. You could probably suspend that. Most likely you're going to be running those words all the time, either later on in the Tango series in the example sentences for that, or in the stuff that you're watching Japanese. Now with the M4, you're probably safe to suspend stuff that's spaced out over 6 months. Again, if you're doing that immersion. If you're doing the college student approach to learning a language, where the only time you touch the language is when you're studying it or reviewing it, then yeah, don't delete anything. Don't suspend anything. You probably want to keep everything in there because you're going to be forgetting stuff. However, you're going to be not good in Japanese. What builds your level in Japanese is that immersion. Your potential, okay, great, you got a potential to pass a test because you got time and you're just concentrating on what this one particular sentence means, or you're concentrating on what this one conversation is. So you have the potential of passing a test is there. But if when you're doing immersion, now your level's increasing. That means you start, not only do you have an objective knowledge of the language, now you have a subjective knowledge, like an intuitive feel. And what was I kind of going on? Kind of got off on the subject there. Yeah, so that was about how to get access to the books. It started off with getting access to the books. Yeah, and just when you get it, I set the books, the way I've got it set up is I break them down into 500 words each. So the first book's like in 2 parts, the second book's in 3 parts, the third book's in 4 parts, and the N2 book's going to be in 5 parts when I get around to making that. And each part is about roughly about 500 words. And just add it by parts. Don't add the entire deck. Just add that one deck. Once you get done with that, it's kind of cool because you get to see that completion approach. You can see that number go down from a big number down to a small number, and that's a good. You feel like, oh, good. I'm like at the end of this race, and once you get to that 0, okay. Now you're ready for the next race. Navy Dave, sorry, my wife called. What I missed? You didn't miss much, and it'll be on the archive. I was just talking about adding decks. Okay, people with non-English chats aren't patrons. There. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to posting on the on the Discord. I have set it to where anyone can read the Discord, but limited to people chatting on the Discord. Text chatting on the Discord is patron members. All right, that's pretty much a limitation, except for these two. The live stream chat, when I'm doing a live stream, I'll change the settings there, and the Q&A. Like, I'm gonna rename this February Q&A for next month. So for the questions for next month. Yeah, $1. Now again, I don't think I have to change that. The Discord's been pretty slow, which is expected. All right. What kind of materials included in Patreon Basic? And here's a weird thing. All right, I didn't start the Patreon to get funding. The Patreon started back in Memorize days when I was making this stuff, and someone said, "Hey, do you have a Patreon? I want to support you." I said, "Okay, no, I didn't, but if you just shared the information, shared the decks, links to other people, and they got benefit from it, then I'm cool with that." But I did set up the Patreon where people can show support, and I thought, okay, I felt like, okay, you pay me, maybe I should create something that they can download. That was kind of a bad mentality. The patrons, yeah, there are levels and tiers, and it was back when I thought, okay, Core 2K, 4K, 6K, or take him, I could create material from open source stuff and then share that, because I'm, just always was making spreadsheets or Anki decks or whatnot. It was just a bad mentality because, and all of a sudden I'm going back into a really bad mindset or a really bad process of creating stuff instead of studying Japanese on my own part. So really the tiers these are still just support tiers. Hopefully you're not going to Patreon and being a patron to get stuff. The idea of the Patreon is about supporting of the overall project. That's the main hope. Now there are tiers, and like I said, in the intermediate tier, I am going to be putting some stuff, not only the core decks, but mainly it's just going to be the stuff I think is, yeah, the subsets stuff, the drama decks. I'm going to start posting those. And with the drama decks, it's going to be the Let's Read videos. Yeah, and that's it. I don't think most of the stuff I want to make it for everybody, because I want everyone to learn Japanese. But unfortunately, I have to host the Anki decks, and I think it's fair. There's nothing I'm doing here is not everyone else is capable of doing. It doesn't take too much training to learn how to make a subsessor deck or to make an Anki deck. It's not that difficult. Or take a spreadsheet and format it a little bit so it's to your liking, and then import that into Anki, and all of a sudden you've got something you can study. All right, people aren't becoming patrons because of my knowledge of Japanese. Obviously, I'm an N3 at best. I just happen to make material that people who have achieved higher levels of Japanese have used to either start off or in their journey to get better in Japanese. So it's kind of a odd thing. Like I took the technician approach of it, whereas, hey, here's the stuff I know people have said is good for learning Japanese. Has formatted it in a way where other people can use it as well. So yeah, technically these tiers are about supporting the channel. The one thing I did add were commissions. So this is where you're paying me to do stuff. Like a couple of people pay me $40. So I'm either talking to them for a couple hours a month or doing a project for him. Like for one guy, making spreadsheets for him. So he's giving me some material, having me look over and kind of fix up the spreadsheet or do some Q&A on it. Or sorry, quality assurance, QA, quality assurance, not Q&A, QA. And then one guy, he's on the $80 tier, so he actually paid me more than that. He's in a language school, and so he's getting some stuff he has to learn, but it's in a very bad format. So I'm basically, my job is taking that stuff that he needs to learn and putting it into a Anki format that he can learn from. That's how that. So that's my actual commission stuff. So this is where I thought, when it comes to being paid, this is where it should happen, and this is where other people who get better at it, it's, hey, I need to set aside my time to do work for somebody else. That's commission work. But this is about support, and that's why I do feel if and I wouldn't even have a problem with that. I would just say, hey, all this stuff is free for everyone. But here's a weird thing: if you make everything free, people don't appreciate it. I mean, it's almost like if you do something nice for someone, it's probably appreciated the first time, but if you're always doing it, then it starts becoming like it's just expected of you. Or if someone has to come by and actually, put silver in your palm, and all of a sudden, they feel like they've added a value to what you're doing, and so there is that. it's, it's interesting. Is it probably? And I think the best examples, and it's not money paid to me, are these Tango decks. I do not make any money off the Tango decks, okay? And everybody who's done this knows that all you got to do is just show that you own the Tango decks. Most likely this, or own the Tango books, and then you get the links to the deck. All right. But those decks have value because it's attached to the fact that you had to purchase those books, so they do have value. And I think that's why people, not only do they get it, they study it, because they had to put a value on that, and now they want to get a return on their investment. So that's probably a good thing. That was a weird answer to the Q&A, but about what's included in Patreon Basics. So Korean margin making. Do you make chunks of it? Yeah, I use the entire file. Like there was Katsumoto. He said break when he was ripping audio from either movies, TV shows, or whatnot. He broke it in. He was reading the whole thing, but he thought, okay, when he started back, it was like always starting from the beginning. And then so he broke it up into chunks of 5 minutes or so, and then now he could be popping into anyone. And I did do that, and I realized, you don't need to do that. It's just listen from the beginning, because it's still good Japanese. And if you're really that worried, just have most players now, they'll start, if you pause it, you're going to start back up where you started, so smartphones are much better now than they were 10-15 years ago when Katsumoto was doing it, or when he came up with the idea. So and it's just makes you got less files you have to worry about. It's just easier, like here's this one file from a TV show. It's either, and it's most like a 45-minute TV show, and just listen to it. Cool. The most editing I do, I might edit out the titles, the songs, because especially Terrace House, good God, that intro song is just like, if I'm listening to it at night or I'm just sleeping to Japanese, it just blares out, it just blares your eardrums, wakes you up. So get rid of that music, cut off the ending song. You don't have to, it is, and for immersion, when you're first starting off, the important audio of immersion is the stuff you've studied. So that Tango audio is going to be super important, because that's the audio you understand near 100%. And you want to mix it in with the audio. The way I'm saying is like, hey, if you got 15 minutes of audio from Tango, then mix it in with 30 minutes of audio from Japanese of a show that you've watched. Maybe if you live in the United States, the price of the Genki books, you can get material up to M1 level with the Tango books. That's the way I view it. Yeah. Yes, the Genki books are very expensive, and the problem with Genki books is that they're trying to teach you production. And if you're doing production outside a professor's ear, where they can hear if you're making mistakes, then you're just going to be reinforcing mistakes. And you don't really need to do production. I like the idea now, just that, hey, look, what's wrong with the idea of where someone tells you something in Japanese and you know what it means? What is wrong with that? If that was the limit of your Japanese ability, like if you read something in Japanese, you know what it meant. If you heard something in Japanese, you know what they're saying. But you wouldn't be able to speak, but you wouldn't be able to write. But you could, or would you rather to where everybody understands what you say in Japanese and write in Japanese, but you can't understand Japanese at all? Let's just say that was a possible wish of a genie. Okay. Everybody understands you, you don't understand them. Or would you prefer everybody you understand everybody, but they can't understand what you're saying or writing? But you could point to something. If they ask you like, "Door wa doku desu ka?" and you point to a door, or "Mado wa doku desu ka?" you point to the window. It's like, "Sochi ni tatte kudasai." You go over there and you stand. You're not speaking Japanese, but you are replying. You are answering them. You're not answering in Japanese, but you are answering them. through action, through ability. And I think most people will say the comprehension is much more important when it comes to conversation. Understanding what the other person is saying is more important because you can communicate through more than words. Now, yeah, you want to later on when you start getting better in Japanese, you do want that communication, but that can be trained faster if you have that knowledge of the language. All right, it doesn't have to be started from the beginning. And again, this goes into how Genki, again, they're kind of forcing. And the thing is that they're forcing you to create Japanese that probably no native has ever spoken outside of a joke. Okay. When have you ever had to say this is a pen? Other than you could say this is called a pen in English. That's been said many times, and that's a fair thing, you know. All right, you know, but you know, say this is a pen. That sounds it's patronizing if you ever said that in English. It's like, of course, if I understand what you're saying, it really is patronizing. But if you understand, like, when you're trying to set things like differently, like this is a pen, this is a pencil. All right, and then okay, now you're pointing out difference. That probably has been said in English. This is a pen, and this is a pencil. But you need to be regurgitating that. And my thoughts on the matter now is like, you know what? It's not that important early on. It is important, but you know, again, you gotta categorize. You gotta prioritize. All right. Right now, listening and reading are much more important than speaking and writing. And I think writing is a bad one because people think handwriting. I mean writing as in typing. All right. Because I got in this Reddit argument. Okay, yeah, this guy. He was convinced that if you could not handwrite Japanese, you were illiterate. It's like, motherfucker. No, that's stupid. Okay. If you can read Tolstoy in Japanese, you're not illiterate. You're by definition not illiterate. You may not be eloquent in expressing the language in the written form, sure, but you're definitely not illiterate because you're comprehending Japanese. You know that you can't recreate letters. You know, because the recreation of letters is nothing important. Everyone could do that. They can look at that paper and copy it. I mean, they're literally writing Japanese. There is no way in hell they're count as literate. They're just basically a photocopier. Okay, yeah, that was kind of a stupid argument. All right, nice, thanks. Question about Core 2K versus Tango. I like the way Core sounds, but is it more or less natural in Tango overall? When I start Tango, if I want to continue Core. Okay, they're basically the same path. Core has been made 10 years ago, based on a frequency list of words in Japanese over 10 years of Japanese newspapers, specifically Asahi Shimbun. So right now it's already got a weak origins there, but that's just the words. Then the example sentences from the core deck came from a dictionary. I think Kinkyusha is a primary source of the example sentences, although they were adapted slightly to only use pronouns, daimeshi. The kare, kanajo, boku, anata, the pronouns. And it just, most people Japanese don't use pronouns all that much. They do use pronouns, but it's more common just to hear the person's name. And they weren't using names. So that was a weakness with the example sentence. But you know what? When it came out 11 years ago, it was still great. I mean, it was like the best resource available for people who are trying to learn Japanese outside of a college classroom. So it was great for its time. And plus the voice acting was top notch because they used professional voice actors. So when you hear these example sentences, you're hearing emotion. I think one guy's put it though. It sounds like anime characters. Okay, fine. Well, that makes sense because these are voice actors most likely doing it for anime. All right, or maybe voiceover work for movies or foreign movies in Japan. So it was quality at the time, 2000, 6000. Now here's the thing though, you don't need to do Tango then do Core 2K. It's like, hey, it's either do Tango or Core 2K or 2K 6K. So if you do Tango M5, M4, that's roughly 2,500 words, roughly. All right, that's a basically equivalent of doing Core 2K. All right, if you're going to do one, you don't have to do Core 2K. When you get to N3, now you're up to about 4,500 words. That's roughly Core 4K. That's my term for getting up to the 4,000 word mark. That's essentially Core 6K Part 1. Yeah, I think that's got it. Advanced Core Part 1. And then when you do N2, now you're up to 7,000 words in Tango, roughly 7,000 words. So then you're going to be at 6,000 words Core 6K. So you know, again, it's either or. And preferably I recommend Tango because I think in the chat, in fact, how many people are actually watching right now on the live stream? All of 7. Okay, 7 people. Hey guys. Because there's been so many people who have been doing the Tango books, and you know, at least in the Discord that I have, and they've all been positive feedbacks. I think I've heard just a lot of positive feedback. I think one of the main complaints, which makes sense, was that one section of the N4 book where they're throwing all these prefixes at you. And all of a sudden you got all these fucking words that are using kanji you probably haven't even learned. You know, if you were doing just the 555 most common kanji, or even if you did RTK1. What the hell are all these? You know, these are just like ehime. It's like, what? Shifu, Shiga Ken. That's the hardest one there. Shiga Ken, nourishing fortune, nourishing fortune or something. Shiga Ken, Shifu Ken, Kanagawa Ken, Aomiri Ken. You know, just they just said fuck it. They just skipped that section. A lot of people just skip that section, which makes sense. But yeah, the benefit of the Tango is that it follows that I+1 idea, is that most likely the next sentence you're seeing just has one new thing. Most likely. It might have a grammatical function, but if that grammatical function is introduced, like masio, like tabe masio, yeah, tabe masio. If it's doing that, you're going to see it in multiple sentences after that. So you're going to kind of intuitively learn grammar because the sentences are structured very well. Not only are they structured in that there's thematical groupings by chapter and by section, I mean, which is great. Sometimes the sentences are, you hear one sentence like, oh, this is a Yusenseki. So this is a reserved seating for elderly people or handicapped. Okay, cool. But there's a guy sitting there. Oh, an older person came in and he stood up. Oh, and now you exchanged seats. So it's almost like this is these 3 sentences, each one introducing a new vocabulary word, but it was kind of like telling the same story. You know, just, hey, somebody sitting in a seat, who's a young guy sitting in a seat that's reserved for elderly people. An elderly woman came onto the train. The guy stood up and changed seats with her. All right, cool. And you kind of remember that story. Okay, awesome. And that, you know, happens a few times as well in the Tango books. So the design, well designed. I don't know if there's any other books that have done what Tango books have done. Maybe they have, but also the big benefit with Tango books is the same benefit as Core 2K, is that there are voice actors. So you have native Japanese men and women speaking these sentences, so you can hear how it's pronounced. So you're not guessing how it's pronounced, you know how it's pronounced. And that's super important when you for listening. And that's hopefully then means that when you hear that word during your immersion, you're more likely to comprehend what that word is. It'd be kind of pointless to do quarantine. Yeah, okay, sorry to answer that. Alright, looks like we're at the end of there. Alright, so that's the end of the Q&A. Alright, so if you'd like, please join the voice channel. If you're in the Discord, join the voice channel and let's do a discussion, if you can. If not, I'll answer any questions that might pop up on the Twitch stream. And if that's not it, then okay, hey, we're done. I'm going to quickly look on Matt's channel. I apologize. I'm not going to stay on there too long because that's, again, it's a private Discord. Just going to see if anybody answered or something. Okay, nobody answered. Okay, in fact, let me look down here. I don't think I posted it here. Actually, no, I didn't. Alright, and by the way, for Reddit, so this is the Let's Learn Japanese subreddit. I have not improved it at all. This is something I took over because it was a dead subreddit. No, but I mean, it hadn't been posted in for 5 years. And all I did was, the idea is like, hey, if I'm going to be doing a let's read, this is the easiest way is I'll just post the, like for example, Keiko and Dekinai Toko, something I'm reading right now. And this will be for, so, actually I'll do what I'm studying right now. Yeah, so this is a transcript for episode 2. Now, yesterday I did a video where I'm doing a let's read of Keiko and Dekinai Toko, He Who Can't Get Me Married, of episode 2. And this was a transcript. Now, the way I was doing the let's reads were, I would read over the transcript while the video is playing. The problem is this transcript is not put together as well as other transcripts, so it doesn't follow the dialogue too well. In fact, it kind of goes back and forth over the same scene a couple times. So it's not well put together, but that's fine. So all I did is added the subtitles right there, and so I was just looking up the subtitles as I went along. And that worked out good. If you saw Matt's versus Japan's video on using Yomi-chan and getting downloads for Yomi-chan, I do recommend that video. Reason being, that download has quite a few dictionaries, including Japanese dictionary, a good Japanese English dictionary, then the generic Jim Breen's Japanese English dictionary, and then of course one kanji dictionary. So I do recommend that. And yeah, and when I'm doing Let's Read, I was using Japanese dictionary, the Japanese dictionary for the Let's Read. I decided to get away from that because I'm like the idea of I wanted to go fast, like just I'm not sweating it. Like okay, it's almost like I've got someone ask, hey, what does this word mean? Okay, cool. Then just keep going. Like I'm not worried if I memorize it, fine. If I don't, fine. And yeah, just keep going. So it's just I'm not sweating on when I'm doing Let's Read. I'm not trying to do learning. I'm just trying to, if I learn something, bonus, but I'm just trying to enjoy what I'm reading, enjoy what I'm listening to. Alright, now when I'm doing Anki though, it's a different story. So let me show you something while I'm doing Anki. In fact, first off, who popped in? Hey Navy Dave. You can chat if you want. I can barely hear you. Is my audio good? Testes. 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah, very good. Now, I don't know if the Discord... Actually, here, talk.
Hello?
Okay, good.
Test.
Good. All right, so I just want to make sure that people on the stream can hear you. So it seems like that's the case. So that's good. All right, so real quick, I want to show on how I'm doing drama immersion. In fact, Davey Dave, he's a good guy. He's obviously by the name. He's in the Navy. His main channel is about discussing about people who are in the military, most likely, or what to do in the military. Or if you're doing a transfer from being a Mustang, so you were enlisted and then you go and got your commission. Now you're working as a commissioned officer in the military. So it's a very good channel. He's got it. Otaku Dave. That's his learning Japanese sub channel, right? Is that correct, or am I?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, good. All right, so you're gonna see him a lot because he started. So you started last year around June, if I kind of remember your history here. Did RTK vanilla? No, I'm sorry, not vanilla RTK. You did lazy kanji RTK, but you did all of RTK, the first book. So that's 2,200 kanji, and lazy kanji just means see a kanji. Do you know what it means? That's right.
No, actually, I'll correct you there. I did traditional RTK, and I finished the book, and then I switched it to lazy kanji afterwards, because that was right when Matt vs. Japan started suggesting that we should try just doing lazy kanji, because people's retention was terrible anyways.
Okay, and I found out what, for me, because again, I lived in Japan when I did RTK, that I enjoyed being able to write kanji, because first off, you learn it right off. Japanese are not good at writing kanji from memory beyond the basics kanji. They're just like, huh? No, now they can read it fine. Reading is fine. They're not illiterate because they can't write the kanji. They just can't. It's like Americans who we can't spell. Like I might not be able to spell a word, but I can definitely read it fine. So I'm not illiterate. I just don't know how to spell it. Big deal.
Yeah, my wife can attest to the fact that I'm one of the worst spellers ever. But I mean, I read English fluently, just fine.
So, I mean, I'm not a proponent of lazy kanji, but I would be but then again, I changed it to where I say you don't want to learn the whole book because you're not going to use the whole book yet. Like, so I like the idea of, okay, here's the 555 most common kanji. Learn those in RTK order, and use those. And those actually, if you didn't do it, you don't want to. You could even go lazy kanji with those because you're going to be seeing them everywhere. Like, so what I recommend, if you're doing kanji, you don't live in Japan, turn on the subtitles of TV shows. Because you're going to see kanji everywhere, and that's the immersion. So that's where lazy kanji would be not a problem, because you're going to be seeing these kanjis pop up anyway. Okay, what was I going to talk about? All right, so I was going to show real quick my drama deck. So this is Keikon Deki Nai Toko. First off, so I made these are the first 3 episodes, and it's very basic subsessor S, so it's the Japanese sentence. I did have a field for, let me just show you. Okay, in fact, let's do a browser, drama. Yeah, okay. So the fields are, the index, that's so you can quickly find the sentence, and sorting is no problem, so it just, it just helps when you're doing sorting. Japanese, English sentence, but I just do Japanese sentence. Audio, image, that's pretty basic. Question, the series name, this is for sorting purposes, no big deal. And then the question side and answer side. So the idea is like, hey, you need a note on the answer side. Usually you don't need a note on the question side, but if you do, that's what this field is there for. Main thing is notes on the answer side. That's the main field that's going to have all the editing done. That's where you're going to be putting in all the information. All right. And then when you see it, I just have one card set up. It's just set up as in one way and one way only. So if you do the preview, you got the image of the scene, you got the audio of the scene, which it should be playing. You're not going to hear it. No, take that back. You do hear it. Okay, I assume people heard that. All right, now people on the stream heard it. If you're in the Discord, you didn't hear it. But yeah, so you got the sentence here. And by the way, I have no problem if you edit this card, like here, you can put generate readings, and what now? I don't even care. Like for drama, I'm not doing this deck to memorize stuff. I'm doing this to just find sentences that when I heard what they're saying, I didn't know what they meant. That's it. That's what I do to save a card. And if I know what everything is if I don't know what they're saying, if I know what they're saying when I hear it, I don't need the card at all, because I'm going to be hearing this sentence many, many, many times because it's on an immersion loop. So the cards I keep is the main thing to decide if I keep it is if I hear a sentence pronounced and I don't know what they're saying. Okay, cool. Then, hey, if I read this subtitle here, 自分メジャーだけどオタク映画. No, so it's obviously like, it was a major production, or it was a major release, and it's like yeah, but it was like a nerd movie. Okay, Blade Runner. They're talking about Blade Runner. Now, I didn't save this card because I knew what he was talking about. I knew it was being talked about. But if I didn't, if this is all I needed, I don't add anything to the notes. I don't need to add anything to the notes. I just said, hey, I don't know it when I heard it, but I know it when I read it. Save the card, and but if I didn't know what this, let's say I didn't know what otaku is, Otaku Dave. I didn't know what Otaku Dave meant. So otaku. I would just go into the notes, add the definition to otaku, and life goes on. Cool. Otaku. Alright. And like this one now, I know what it means. It is now. Let's say I'm doing a review. It's like, "Nande ore wa konna koto shinakia?" Like, why am I, why am I actually doing this? And I never mark anything wrong. All right. If I don't know what it means when I'm hearing it, because I'm doing a review right now. Let's say I don't know what it means when I'm hearing it. Do I know what it means when I'm reading it? Cool. If I don't know what it means when I'm reading it, most likely the definition of the word I don't know is already here, because I did that when I first added the card. All right. 謝る必要なんかないんだよ。向こうが悪いんだから。謝る必要なんかないんだよ。向こうが悪いんだから。Yeah, so the other guy's at fault, not me. So now this one, I didn't quite know what he's saying because he's fucking mumbling. All right. but that's fine. All right, I know it when I'm reading it. So, okay, now, and I try to mimic what he's saying.
謝る必要なんかないんだよ。向こうが悪いんだ。
謝る必要なんかない。なんかないんだよ。向こうが悪いんだから。And then
ちょっとできる女風でしょ。
ちょっとできる女風でしょ。Yeah, talk about her hairstyle.
ちょっとできる女風でしょ。
すっごい車。車種は
Wonder why I added that one. Oh, shashu. Okay, that's why I was saying it's a shashu. That's fine. Okay. Car model.
すっごい車。車種は
Shashu. And in fact, let me show you. Like, here's the stats. Here's, if you go down here, I don't mark anything wrong. I do not mark anything wrong on Drama Decks. I've decided that I'm treating drama as just Drama Decks as spaced repetition cards. Repetition. I'm not remembering it. I'm just having it repeated for me. For cards that initially I did not understand when I heard the word, or when I saw this, or I didn't understand a word in the sentence. Okay. And let's see if I can find one where yeah, okay, so this is good. So this is a note right there. It's like Irojiro. So it's probably talking about the appearance of some lady and "Chou kawaii." So what I do for it, like right now I didn't know what Irojiro means. It has something to do with a color of white. But all I did is I copied that and I go into, by the way, here's the thing. If you add Yomi-chan, down here are these three buttons. So that's the setting one, so that's this page here. Click on here, this magnifying glass, and you bring up Yomi-chan search. This is an amazing dictionary. God. Okay? And the fields based on, if you use Yomi-chan on Firefox, so not Chrome unfortunately. You can use Yomi-chan on Chrome, but you're limited in what you can do. Like the order of dictionaries. Here you can actually set the order of the dictionaries. Like you can actually go and move these. Oh yeah. So if you do like show advanced options, you can actually go and change the priorities of the dictionaries, like which shows first. And the way I've got it set up, I want to show my Japanese dictionary first. Yeah, so let me get rid of that. So now in this case, the Japanese definition, Shirojiro, Ito-jiro, there wasn't a Japanese definition for it, so it just shows this one. But let's say I was looking up Ito, which is probably a bad word to eat. Oh, am I missing something? Oh, okay, that's why. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, good. So this would be the Japanese definition. So it says Ito-jiro, alright, and it gives the, right there, it gives the pronunciation. Yeah, the pitch accent. So tsukue no iro no shiroi. So basically your skin is white, pale skin, fair complexion, fair skin. There you go. And then all I do is, so I add the, so the way I would do it is I would just add that definition right there, and I would just add it to Anki, which is right there. Oh, well, that's a different one, Chichai. But Ito-jiro, right? Ito-jiro na bijin, and then bijina, and fair light skin. So I add the Japanese definition, and you know what? I just decided I started adding the English definition. All right. Reason being, when I'm doing my reviews, if I'm not fighting the definition. I am not going to fight the definition. So usually I don't even need to look at the notes. I know what the sentence is after this, but through all this effort, yeah, this makes the reviews faster. Now, and here's the thing. I try to look at the Japanese definition first. Can I figure out what this word is just from reading the Japanese definition? Okay, I make an honest effort with that first, and then I just look on the English definition, and I copy everything over. All right, and that's it. And that's when I'm in my review phase, when I'm in my study phase of this particular drama, and it goes fast. I mean, here, look at the stats again. if you look at the reviews, I had skipped a lot of days. So what I did is it was actually about an hour. I studied for about an hour, but it's not doing, when you're doing, looking up definitions in the dictionary, making edits to the cards, it's not counting that time. But these are each were an hour long. This is each an hour of study. Okay. And I added 100 cards this day, I added about 80 to 90 cards this day, and then I skipped a shitload of days. Okay, that wasn't smart. But if you can kind of see here, probably in about 4 or 5 days, if I had kept going, I would have been done. If you notice the answers here, when I add a card, I'm not going to see it again in 10 minutes and then the next day in 3. What I've done is, when I add a card, close, it's 3 days. So if I add a card, I'm not going to see it again for 3 days. That's it. I'm treating it so it's, hey, I'm not trying to memorize the drama anymore. I'm just trying to say, I'm playing that whole N+1 concept. Okay? If I'm ready to memorize something in this sentence, if my brain's ready to accept a word, like irojiro, then I'll accept it. I'll learn it. And if not, well, hey, I'm just being reminded quickly what it means, and just go on. And I always hit good. So, クラブ said, oh yeah, so, 活動中の副員長に電話して聞きました. So, yeah, this is basically the Fukuincho, he kind of goes to Kabakura clubs, and she's kind of saying it as a joke. But,
クラブ活動中の副委員長に電話して聞きました。
クラブ活動中の副委員長に電話して聞きました. Yeah, and again, just click good.
俺は嫌だね。ああいう気の強いタイプはな。
Yeah, even if I didn't know what this word is, I didn't know what he's saying, I had to look up the definition. I don't care. I'm going to hit good. All right, and it just goes on there. That was not smart. Okay. I didn't mean to cancel out of Anki, sorry. Now, the main reason behind this, I wanted to do that whole, in fact, let me bring the Anki back up. When I got to that N3 level, and once I was done with the N3, Tango N3 deck, alright, it's, how many hours a day are you studying? And I decided my format is going to change a little bit, because you have to watch Japanese, you have to read Japanese, you have to watch Japanese. And I was doing a Let's Read, and I was just going to be doing a Let's Read on audiobooks and TV shows. But I was realizing I wasn't learning anything as much. And then I came up with the idea that, you know what, there's nothing wrong with rewatching a show or rereading a book. So what if I approached a Let's Read category, instead of always trying to come up with something new to read, what if I slowed things down? So now what's happening is, while I'm studying Keikon Dekinai Toko, okay, I've already done a Let's Read of the episode, but while I'm still doing episode 2 in Anki, I'm going to be doing episode 2, I'm going to reread episode 2 of the previous thing I've read. So I'll be episode 2 of around 40. So today I'm just going to reread around 40 to audio. And then later on, the next day, I'm going to reread part 2 of Kimi no Nawa. Then the next day, if I'm still doing episode 2 of Keiko Dekinai Toko, I'm just going to reread episode 2 of Ryusei no Kizuna. So I'm just going to reread stuff for fun. And it should be easier to do a reread. Alright, and slowly reread. And then after I'm done with Keikon Dekinai Toko, I'm up to episode 12, right? And I move on to the next drama, which is probably going to be GTO. Well, GTO doesn't have any transcripts at all. So what I might just do is, during GTO, since there's no transcripts, I'll do an audiobook as part of my Let's Read. So this particular Keikon, it has transcripts. So those are the transcripts I'll be reading. But hopefully it'll make sense when it happens. But the idea is I'm going to be studying a drama for an hour, which is basically studying how to read and listen for an hour. To a Japanese drama. And then I'm going to read to Japanese audio for an hour, something. And then after that, I'm just going to then do, for about an hour or so, studying more and more into Japanese tango. Now, I'm almost done with N3, so I'll be adding it, going on into N2. But again, so this is the structured part. This is a lot less, this is more unstructured. But I'm going to try this experiment for about 2 months or so and see how it works. And I got a good feeling for it. And I got a feeling like it's something I can recommend people to do. If you've already done N5 and N4, like, okay, so let's get you into doing subs SRS. I think you can do subs SRS, but don't do the mistake I made when I first did subs SRS, and I did it again last year when I did it with Terrace House, is I tried to memorize everything in that particular drama I was studying. It's like, oh, this is this person's name, I gotta know how to write this person's name from memory. Oh, this is a person's job, I gotta know how to write that person's job from memory. Or I need to know what this sentence is saying. Or, I need to know what this person is saying when I hear it. I was like, I took away, like, I took the text off the front of the card. It was just the audio of the sentence, or the audio of the word, and I had to write the word from memory. Basically, I was trying to make the drama deck as difficult as a vocabulary deck was, and it was becoming a chore. It took me 2 weeks or more to get through a drama. But if you look at Keikon Dekinai Toko, if you looked at this, I mean, I probably could have, like I said, I probably could have been done with this particular, like, this is when I finished it there. So I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and this is right here was like, this is all just reviewing because I had like 2 days of reviews to catch up with. But yeah, about 5 days, I probably would have been done with that. I was done with that drama, and people who have done Keikon Dekinai Toko realize that is not an easy drama. But I wasn't sweating about memorizing words. I would just, hey, let me just quickly look up what this word means. I know what, okay, now I know what the sentence is trying to say. Done. So next, I'm going to be seeing that particular card in 3 days. So I'll be reminded what the sentence means. And then I'll see it in about a week or so. I'll be reminded what the sentence means. I'll see it in about 2 to 3 weeks. I'll be reminded what the sentence means. Around about, once it's about 3 months, I'm like, hey, I don't care about this sentence anymore. I've either learned it through the N+1 method, or I haven't. I don't care. Just get rid of it now. And like I said, I'm going to try this experiment for 2 months, maybe longer, and see how this works out. I've got a good feeling, though. In that I know a lot of people who are doing subs SRS, they're trying to do it to find stuff to memorize. Either they're looking for example sentences for words they're trying to memorize, or like they're wanting to memorize stuff. And now I'm just realizing what I loved about subs SRS when I first did it with the episode 1 of Zetai Kareshi, and then later on with the first episode of Rookies, and then after that the first episode of Hanayori Dango, and then Last Friends. As I was doing these dramas, it was helping my listening, because it allowed me to understand the audio of what was in my audio loop. But what I was doing at that time was trying to learn dramas like I was learning vocabulary from Core 2K, Core 6K, and that was turned out to be a bad idea. In hindsight, it was still effective. It still worked, just not as effective as it. Just made things much more difficult. It felt like it was a chore. It started to become less and less fun. It was becoming more work and less fun. This now is fun. I did the first drama and boom, no problem. And I got through it much faster than if you go back and look at the timeline of me doing either Zetai Kareshi episodes 2, 3, and 4 in Memorize, or if you looked on when I was doing Terrace House, then you I only did like 2 parts of Terrace House, but it just took so long to get through it, and then I was just having a chore with the decks. So yeah, basically it's going to be, you back off and you make things easier. But it's kind of like and it goes, maybe it's like the idea behind the lazy kanji approach. It's like, when you think about it, you don't need to know how to write kanji from memory to know a kanji. It helps to make sure that you do know the kanji. Like if you hear this word and you're able to write a kanji from memory, then yeah, you know that, hey, you definitely know you have that kanji. But is it really that bad that, okay, hey, look, just make sure you recognize this kanji as a concept in English, and then now you want to do is attach that kanji to a Japanese pronunciation and concept. All right, then okay, so lazy kanji is not a demonic approach to learning kanji. Okay, if you're back off of the idea that you have to be able to write kanji from memory. All right, let's see. Suddenly, no. Which version of GTO are you going to watch? I've got the 1998 version of GTO. Suddenly, no is asking about that. So if you go to Netflix, and Netflix, good God, Netflix is amazing now. Get Netflix, get the plugin called Subadub, or Subadub plugin, and you're golden. And in fact, I also have a program called Play On, and that allows me to get a bunch of stuff to record some stuff to create these drama decks. So yeah, it's this is how it, and there's nothing wrong about that, by the way. I mean, I'm in Japan, but copyright is deferred viewing is not illegal. So you're allowed to actually record for viewing purposes later. So there's nothing wrong with that. What you don't do is record for selling. So yeah, don't record for pirating purposes. All right. And yeah, I love the 1998 version of GTO. I also like I wish they would do it. It's Ododo Daiso Sen. But yeah, on Netflix they've got some really good shows, and what's great is that if you use Subadub, the subtitles match up. They're already timed. You don't have to retime a goddamn thing. A lot of the subtitles I have, like if you go to jpsubbers.web44.net, the subtitles there are from live broadcasts, and they're timed to the live broadcast, or I'm sorry, they're timed to the on-air broadcast. So because it's a broadcast and they're timed there, they don't match up to most likely any drama you get. It's probably not going to match up. So you have to go through and retime the subtitles, which again, that's work. And if you want to do this for 24 shows, that's a lot of, or 12 shows, that's a lot of work you got to do just to make sure this is working for 12 shows. And once I realized, like, hey, I can do this with Netflix stuff and save a lot of work. Good God, yeah, that's. Let's see, I love the 1998 version too, the 2012 J subs. I didn't care for the 2012 one. I saw that, it's like, too many Johnny boys. Didn't pass. Yeah, Johnny's Entertainment, I don't think is Johnny's Entertainment, and the whole AKB48 phenomenon, I think it's kind of ruined. Well, not ruined. It just taking a lot of it, and maybe it's just an old guy talking. I don't know. There's just it feels like they just got an actor because they just happen to be in a group, and they can't even act. It's like they've got great actors in Japanese entertainment, so why not use that concept? It's like you don't need to grab this person just because they happen to be a member of this boy band or girl band. Anyway, sorry. Doing old man yelling at clouds. Anyway, I think we're pretty much done here. All right, so Navy Dave, if you're still listening, anything you'd like to say?
Not really. You mentioned the whole Netflix things. I know that Yoga Pants just recently put out a cool new video where he talked about using Flixgrabber, which I think is a free program to just grab stuff off of Netflix, and you could do whole seasons at once or multiple seasons at once, which I thought was pretty cool. Other than that, like.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at that video yet, but I mean, I heard about it. And I'm trying to go away. I mean, this isn't a thing about people doing self-study is that they're really afraid of structured study material. Like, they hear Tango, they want to, let me sentence my Tango. You don't need a sentence by Tango. Tango books you don't sentence by. Tango books you weed. It's like, do you know what this is? Then get rid of it. You're weeding. You're not sentence mining. You're looking for stuff you're getting rid of stuff you do know. So that's that's how you approach it. Because everything in the book you need to learn. So if you've already know it, that means you don't need to learn it. So, but you should learn everything in the book. Same thing with the
I agree 100%. Actually,
Yeah.
like 25% of my Tango deck is suspended.
Right. And if you, once you start with the immersion stuff, like there's drama, you're going to be learning stuff through immersion. And so that just means that, but you still want to do that structured study, but in parallel. And so if during the immersion you learn stuff, well then that's stuff you can suspend during your structured study. And now that I kind of come up with the idea when I was this kind of stream of consciousness discussing stuff, but I like the idea of I+1 is stuff you learn through structured study. So hey, this means, hey, this sentence has one thing you don't know. So that's how you want to set up your structured study. Vocabulary list, kanji, something. Like if it's kanji, when you're learning kanji, it's either a new kanji using all primitives you've already knew, or it just introduces one new primitive. At most, you should introduce just one new primitive, and you can just learn the primitive by itself, and then you learn the kanji using that primitive. So that kanji becomes an I+1. So treat kanji like a word, and then same thing with vocabulary words. It's easy. If it's a word that uses a new kanji, well then first learn that kanji. Take a little bit of time learning that kanji. Most likely it's a kanji you already know. Now you're just seeing how it's used in a new word. So that's the I+1. And then same thing with these sentences. Most likely it's just using one new word. So that's the I+1. The N+1 is what you learn through immersion. And that's it's your brain has finally accepted something new from what you've been watching. And hopefully that's not something you can do in a structured way. It just happens when it happens. How does that sound?
So there is one other thing that I would say towards the Tango books. I've actually had multiple people on the Discord contact me saying, asking questions like, I can't remember the words that I learned today. Am I failing? I've known these words for a week now. Why can't I produce them? And I know you were talking about this before, but the whole point of the Tango deck is, to learn those words. It's not to learn how to produce those words.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the beginning that discourages a lot of people because they think they're supposed to speak it, but you don't have to.
Right.
I agree with what you were saying earlier, 100%, that once you know and can understand what people are saying to you, if you can reply in a simple sentence back, like you see it in dramas and animes all the time, a simple sentence is a perfectly good way to respond in Japanese.
Yeah. Even if it's something as simple as yes or no. Like this person gave you, gave this long conversation and then said, hey, what's the color of the purse? Blue. You don't have to, the color of the purse is blue. No, this blue. Okay? Or green. Or how many people are talking? 3. Did you comprehend the conversation that was going? That was the main thing. And that feeds into the fact that when you're watching shows, they're not expecting you to talk. If you're talking back to the show, then you need some psychological help. Well, maybe not. A majority of your enjoyment of Japanese is going to be passive. Watching shows and reading books. Same thing as happens in English. I mean, I'm an exception. I type a shitload of stuff on Reddit. I don't think most people on Reddit communicate as much. A majority of people on Reddit just read. Like on Facebook, they just read. Very little are they engaging or adding to the conversation. They're passive. And that's going to be happening when you learn Japanese. A majority of your enjoyment is going to be passive. And forcing people to speak, I think, makes it difficult at the beginning. And by backing off of that one part that said, hey, this part's making it difficult, well, let's back off of it. And let's stick to the stuff that's not as difficult and get them at a higher level of the parts that's not difficult. And then we can introduce the production. And by then, they know a lot. They intuitively or passively know a lot more words, so they have more to draw upon. So they're not using Tarzan speak anymore. They can use more eloquent phrases and know that it's being used in the proper way. God, I'm talking too much, but and I think you and some other people are demonstrating that because you started. I mean, you really started from zero last year, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. I had tried out the Genki books, did about 6 chapters, and then went to Japan and realized that I had failed horribly.
Right.
And then started up in May and just been going since then.
Yeah. And and you're probably noticing, like with the RTK, if you're still doing reviews of RTK, you're noticing like you're reviewing a lot of kanji. The hard kanjis are the ones that you haven't created words for yet. Like there's no vocabulary words for them yet. So they just exist because they happen to be in this deck of kanji that you're learning. Is that true or not?
Yeah, I would actually totally agree with that. So I'm still doing my kanji reviews, and like I said, I'm doing lazy kanji now. I did original RTK to begin with, but the words that I struggle the most with by far are the ones are the kanji that I've forgotten the most. Are definitely ones that I just don't have words for, or they're the kanji that like maybe it goes to like the word iru, but like it isn't used commonly, so I didn't learn it with my decks.
Yeah, like yasu, or cheap. Like it's we say maybe cheap and easy, but for what is it for? Plan. Let's see. No, it's plan. Plan a buffet. Relax. Oh yeah, that's right. It's relax. So house and woman, and it's the key word for that is relax, I think. But it's never used for relax in Japanese words. It's used for either cheap or easy.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the ones that bugged me because I was like, why wouldn't James Hasek just change that?
Yeah. But there are some reasons, like when you first learn like private, and but wait, that's the kanji for watashi because it's using all these words for watashi. But later on, as you start learning like shiritsu, shiritsu koen, shiken, then you're like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. It's used in some private enterprises. All right, now that makes sense. So
yeah,
his choices do make sense once you. But sometimes you're right though. It's like. Yeah, they're probably the best example was for some reason his switching of mura with cho or machi, like it's like village and town. He switched the meanings on that. It's like no one who knows Japanese and English would say this kanji would be interpreted as village. They'll say this kanji is interpreted as town. That kanji is interpreted as village. That no one who knows both the languages and is literate in both languages would have used those keywords. But the main point is this is what your experience is kind of is something I experienced, and it's why I thought, okay, hey, look, let's back off a bit. You don't need 2,000 kanji yet. All right, you could be, start with this 500, learn those, and then start learning words, and then all of a sudden those kanji are a lot easier to memorize because now you've got words attached to them, and then add in some 500 more kanji, and then learn a couple thousand. Now you may not learn words for all 500 of those new kanji, but you're going to be hopefully will learn quite a few, a majority of them, and then go back add another 500 and then another 2,000 words. And this back and forth for you're obviously not in your case because you did all 2,000 from the beginning. The hopes is that this allows people to learn kanji and vocabulary at a more smooth. In a smoother fashion, and they get more out of Japanese earlier. That's the biggest thing is getting getting a lot more out of their immersion in Japanese. So time will tell. Time will tell if that's going to work out. All right, and I'm not seeing any other. There's just no other questions happening here. All right, so how many people are watching? 8 people watching. Hey guys. And now what I would recommend, now Navy Dave, so I would recommend to you is look into doing sub-SRS like I'm doing at the moment. So not doing it to learn or memorize words, but just doing it so that when you watch this hour of drama, all of a sudden most of it makes sense. Because you're able to like break it down sentence by sentence. Or does that sound like maybe a little bit too much work at the moment?
No, I mean, I think I would agree with that. Honestly, one of the things I might need to turn down my Tango reviews a little bit because, as you've said in the past, your system and this kind of system of learning isn't for the kid who's got a lot of time. I mean, I'm a adult. I'm in the military, so obviously I'm a very busy guy. So I really can only dedicate like an hour to an hour and a half a day to studying, like active studying. With Anki and such. So right now I'm already hitting about an hour a day in Anki with just my Tango reviews, doing 15 new words a day. So maybe I'm at the point where I need to turn that down a little bit and start focusing a little bit more on watching shows like that.
Yeah.
But I do watch probably, an hour's worth of media in Japanese a day.
And yeah, you can. And since these subset, like what I did is I got more time to study, but that's going away because I got hired for a interpreter job on base. But I was doing like a couple hours of tango a day, and not always. I wasn't being consistent. If you look at my stats, you can see, okay, yeah, I kind of fall off the horse now and again. But what I decided to do is, okay, I'm going to back off. So now it's going to be an hour of drama studying and then an hour of tango. And I'm putting the drama first. So it's going to be study the drama for an hour. Well, that means either I'm reviewing stuff, reviews go fast. So now it's just something sentence by sentence, getting more into that 1 hour drama. All right. And then after that hour hits, boom. All right, switch over. I'm going to read for an hour. And you're doing that as well. You're reading to audio, right?
Correct, yeah.
And
so I'm about halfway through Kimi no Na wa, and then I can read while I'm at work without audio.
Awesome. Oh, you can't. And there's probably ways you can actually get audio into work if need be. I mean, without violating any type of security. But
right, that's always the issue for my situation. But
right.
Yeah, I have like dictionaries and stuff like that at work and books at work, and I try to read like a chapter of a manga a day, and then I have a couple of light novels downloaded onto my computer.
Yeah, and like I said, that was the first experience of joy I had, is when I watched my first drama, completely in Japanese. So, and again, just using subtitles. So I read my the first manga series, which is let's see, Nijuseki Shonen or something, like 20th Century Boys. So, and I was just reading that. Now I didn't comprehend anything. I was comprehension super low, but it was just fun, just having fun in Japanese. And I like the idea now. It's like, hey, look, you're gonna get better in Japanese by listening to Japanese and reading Japanese. I mean, the vocabulary you learn, that just increases your potential of comprehending Japanese when you read it and when you listen to it. But your level, your ability will get better by the actual reading and listening to Japanese. And you're not going to do that if it's something that's like graded readers. It's just, I've tried those. Those are just not fun. Just, or the podcast. I'm not a podcast guy. Everyone says, oh, just play podcast. It's like, dude, I've done that. It just, my brain just ignores it. It just,
boring.
Yeah, comprehensible. But for me personally, I found out, hey, when it was watching a TV show and then taking that audio and putting on an audio loop, that worked. And then, but it turned out the audio of a show I watched that I then studied through Subsessor S, that was super effective audio. Good gods. And the only problem was when I was doing Subsessor S, I made it too difficult. I was like, oh, I needed to memorize all these words. That was a bad mistake. So it's like, if you do start Subsessor S, my only recommendation, don't worry about memorizing stuff. Just say, hey, look, okay, you don't know what this word is, just add the definition. If the next time you see if you don't know it, well, read the definition. You've added it. You're just saving the time of adding a definition and looking it up. That's all. And just go on from there. And I think you'll appreciate, if you get into that part, I think you'll appreciate. You can start saying, you know what, if this is all you did for Japanese, like you backed off learning new vocabulary through Tango and just went to dramas, you would still be doing good. Because you're going to pick up words that way. I just like the idea of the balance between structured and unstructured. Like if that's kept in a even, once you get to that N3, N2 level, I think you'll appreciate it. Like, because you know the structured part. If you know the word because you learned it through immersion, well then you just skip it. So you get through the structured stuff faster. And if you learn a word in the structured part, well then that means that you're not having to look up that definition when you run into it in your unstructured study. And I think it balances out quite well. Just the willingness, and that was the one thing, just be willing to suspend shit you know. And even if it's spaced out, like if it's spaced out over a year, suspend it. You don't need anything that's spaced out over a year. If it's not coming up in your immersion of Japanese, it's not that important. You can just look it up again. You won't lose that much time on those particular words. And yeah. But anyway, again, I'm excited to see how well you do because again, you started from zero not too long ago, and I'm interested. Like, you did quite well on the JCAT. Like, you basically you did the equivalent of ace the N4 exam. Like, if you took the JLPT N4, I'm pretty sure you would ace it. And
Sorry, I lost the feed there for a second.
okay, I was just gonna say I like that you started from zero last year, and that we can look and see how your gains are. And you're not doing full-on Japanese study. You're doing this as a hobby while holding down a full-time job, which is
Right.
this is the type of you're the type of person where I want this method to be is more like developed for, because there's more efficient ways. Like AJA's great if you can give like dozens of like hours to dedicate to Japanese a day. But if you only got like 1 or 2 hours a day you can dedicate to learning Japanese, that's how I think this system works better. And seeing how you do add these tests is a good way to gauge, like, hey, okay, this is a guy who started from zero. All right, it's all right. So he did about 4 months of RTK and about 2 to 3 months of Tango books, and he scored 163 on the JCAT.
Something like that.
All right. Now, way the JCAT works, and that's how I look, is you're in the N4 range from 100 to 150. So just consider yourself acing the N4 test by getting beyond 150. So that's the only thing you want. Don't think of yourself being N3. Just think, hey, you're beyond N4. Okay? You may not be N3 yet, but you're definitely beyond N4. And I'm sure if you took the JLPT N4 test, I'm pretty sure you'd ace it.
Yeah, I feel very confident with the N4 level stuff now, especially the grammar and the vocab, the things that you would run into. Like, that stuff has started to become easy recently. It's really nice.
Once you're done with this N3 book, and I've already, because I looked over N3 material, and someone posted a JLPT N3, or like they did like mock tests for all levels, and I looked over the N3 material. Like the N2 material I could answer some of it, but some of it I couldn't. But the N3, like the vocabulary is like I got like 100% on the vocabulary. It's like no problem. Listening was kind of half and half, but I'm pretty sure I would get above the 19 needed to pass it, and the reading was no problem. The grammar, maybe, I think grammar would be the biggest problem for everyone. That's going to throw everyone for a loop.
That seems to be a common issue that we all have, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what though? I'm not going to go by and study just to pass the test, so I'm not sweating that now. Like when I'm worried about it, and I've already got a plan in place. So in between,
Yeah,
I've heard your plan, and that's a good one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Shinkansen Master N3 book. And so after I'm done with the N3 book, after I'm done with the N3 Tango book, I'm going to be doing RTK Optimized Part 3. I'm going to make that deck, share the deck obviously, but I'm going to go through the deck as well. And as I'm going through the deck, I'm also going to be going through a lesson a day, a lesson per kanji chapter. So basically every 15 kanji, I'm also going to be going over a chapter of the N3 Shinkansen Master, and just read through it, because I've read through it before, and it's like so much fucking easier to read now compared to when I first got the book. So it's like oh yeah, I already know this. I mean, it's good to seeing it like expressed in Japanese explanation, but yeah, it's like okay, cool. This makes sense. Cool. Okay, and there's about 30 lessons in the book, so I'm just going to do a lesson per RTK chapter, and yeah, see how that works. And I'm not trying to memorize it, I'm just doing it for fun, and if I learn something good, if not, oh well, life goes on. And yeah, see how that works out. Now what you're doing is the Dictionary of Basic Japanese Grammar?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just make instead of like studying the Dictionary of Basic Japanese Grammar, which I've heard other people do in the past, which I kind of think seems a little
excessive,
extra.
Mm-hmm.
What I was planning on doing is just taking 1 or 2 sentences from every section and going through the basic book and the intermediate book after I finish the N3 book.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I already know, I'll just suspend, and everything I don't know, I'll just start, wrapping up into what I've been doing on Hockey already.
Actually, there's not that many sentences. There's about 800 or so sentences in that book, basic. Right. And if you saw the spreadsheet I had, I put it in order of take-him order. So I would just recommend this. It's like, and just don't worry about don't worry about audio. Just do it text-based. And if you can read a sentence, you know what it means, suspend it. And just go through the sentence order of, in fact, let me I'll just probably share it with you
Yeah,
right now.
I actually have your spreadsheet.
Okay,
So,
good. Then we'll just go. Yeah, I'll just say, because I made the mistake of I studied it, and that was not a good idea. Like I was trying to and even worse. Oh God, I fucked up real bad when I made the memorize course. I put the English sentence first and wanted to say, how do you say this in Japanese? Don't do
Right.
that. Good God, don't do. Oh,
No.
okay, I apologize to everyone for that. Putting English first. I apologize. In fact, I went back on memorize, and I switched up all the take him to be Japanese sentences shown first. I, I, I had left memorize alone for the longest time, but I actually went back to those courses and changed up take him so that it shows the Japanese sentence first, and then you just pick among what is the correct English phrase that best interprets this sentence. So, but for you, yeah, what I would say is like there's not that many. Go through and don't even worry about like one per. Reason is the way the dictionary basic Japanese grammar works, and also the intermediate and advanced, is it's not this. The sentences are for all the exceptions or all the example sentences are there for all the various exceptional uses of that phrase. So all the sentences are actually important because they're all demonstrating something a little bit differently about that phrase, if that makes sense. So
That
what
makes
I
sense.
what I recommend is like, hey, just go through the sentence and just if you understand what the sentence is, like you may not know what this word is, don't add a card because you don't know what the word is. Don't do that. Because you can always switch the
Right.
words in the sentence, to a noun that you
Right.
understand, noun or a verb you understand. But if it's a grammar concept, like you understand what's happening to these words, then get rid of the card. If that makes sense. Reason is because it's going to be using some vocabulary you don't know, and
Sure.
you don't want to be adding the card because it's because of a word you don't know, because you're going to really fucking hate those cards real fast. But if you know what the sentence is trying to get across, you just don't know what that word is. Well, I would say suspend that card as well because you know what the grammar is trying to get across, and then go
Right.
through there. I think you'll find that majority of the book you already know. Like you probably been looking. If you probably looked at the spreadsheet, you probably see a lot of those sentences. Like, well, okay, this is simple. It's like, okay. The only thing different is that it's got vocabulary that's not simple. So it's basic grammar,
Yeah.
but it's not basic vocabulary. It is not basic vocabulary.
Fair. One of the main tools I actually use that you've shared with us over the past couple of months is that Dictionary of Japanese Grammar search engine.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I use that pretty much every day when I'm adding new sentences. If I run into a grammar point I don't know, it's just pop it in there real quick and I usually get my answer. So
Yes, that's a really good, and that's really. It's unfortunate. It's not technically not a legal site, but I own all three books. So I've got no problem using it, and you're better. Honestly, I think there are certain things you should buy. Tango books, I think you should feel no guilt in buying those, and the Dictionary of Japanese Grammar, I think you should have no guilt in purchasing those. Just those two purchases alone, and I think that is because those books are used.
sure, I could agree with that.
And I've added in the Shinkansen Master because I like the simplicity in which they just throw a bunch of examples at you. So you can do it's like you're doing the same thing, but the explanations are very, very short. Like if you want more detail, you're not going to get it. So you probably are better off with the Dictionary of Japanese Grammar. All right, hey man, I'm hoping. Yeah, like I said, I'm interested. And since you're military, I think we already talked about this. Was take the Defense Language Proficiency Test for Japanese, and try to retake it once every 6 months for the next, just to kind of until you actually get to Japan, and just to see how your progress is going. And it's got two purposes. One, it is good to see, get the good positive feedback that hey, what you're doing is working. That encourages you to keep doing it. And I'm sure you had that feeling after you passed it, after your results on the JCAT, right?
Yeah, I was ecstatic. I was like, "There's no way I'm this good," but like,
Yeah. You probably were. You probably had a false. You're a little higher. You scored a little higher than what your level should actually. But who knows? Again, you've been again, studying consistently, you had a very good active knowledge of grammar, of kanji, which helped for make reading your reading comprehension stronger than what would be expected. Even though you lacked the vocabulary, the kanji helped bridge that gap. Again, the way in which you learned vocabulary also introduced grammatical concepts to you intuitively. So again, you just had an intuitive, like you were picking. If you had a choice between the two, you increased the chance of you getting the right answer, even if you didn't know the exact right answer, because of the way multiple choice worked. And that's great, and that's fine. But I like about the DLPT is that if you score high enough, you can get paid for it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Higher paycheck is also good motivation.
Sure, I'll take the extra money.
and plus, it's good in that, hey, what have you, as a person who's only done self-study for a few months, how do you do on the test compared to people in the DLI, Defense Language Institute? These are people who are studying Japanese 12 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week for months. How are you compared to them in that same time frame? And that would be, I'm more interested in that. Because I think
sure.
they're
I would
doing
actually
it.
compare it a lot to those people who've gone to like language schools in Japan and stuff. I mean, even Matt vs. Japan has said that when he went to Japan, he felt like that was a waste of time because he just kept age-adding while he was there.
Right. Now language school, because again, we're talking DLI, Defense Language Institute, that's in California. And
Right.
but those are like small, that's like a class of 4 people being taught by a Japanese instructor. But they're doing it in the traditional sense. Like, they don't even teach you kanji. Like, they don't expect you to memorize kanji. That's how fucking insane is that?
That's crazy.
But they're stressing more of the listening. So, but even then, they're using. I've seen some of the resources they're doing, and they're using audio. So I don't think they've got a really good setup to teach people to become fluent in Japanese as fast as in an efficient way possible. And even worse, they're not even encouraging people to watch Japanese. Like, Netflix. Come on, dude. You got like YouTube and Netflix, the best tools, resources for.
Makes it so easy.
Yeah. Okay, hey, just learn about. Since you're studying for 12 hours a day, hey, instead of learning 10, 15 words a day, you're going to be learning about maybe 30 to 40 words a day. Hey, learn 10 or 15 in the morning, 10 or 15 in the afternoon, and just make sure you do the reviews, but also, hey, sit down and watch these Japanese shows. And, hey, first off, watch this scene in Japanese, and I want you to rewatch it with English subtitles. That's all. You're still going to be in Japanese, just with English subtitles, but the same scene, just what stuff you want to do in basic. Then when you get into the intermediate phase, get rid of that whole, you don't need to rewatch it in English. You just, hey, here, study this particular sentence, maybe translate a word or two. But, you just, I get the feeling like, basically you basically get someone who does better as a hobby than another person doing it basically as their job. So, time will tell.
Yep. We'll see. All right. Well, that's going to be it for me tonight, Nuke. I got to get going, unfortunately. But thank you very much.
No, thank you for the talk. All right. So everybody, I think we're going to call that a day. Thank you, Navy Dave. And again, check out his YouTube stream. It's Navy Dave. That's his more military related, and Otaku Dave is the Japanese studying related. All right. Thank you. All right. There we go. All right. So that's the Q&A for January. Didn't really answer that many questions. It was more like me stream of consciousness talking. Yeah. So I'll be posting another Q&A for February. I'll change the title of the Discord. Feel free to ask questions there, and I'll do this again at the end of February. So I think taking a couple hours a day, a couple hours a month is fine to pay back to give back to the patrons for their support. And also to the community as well. Again, main thing though, I kind of have to back off this whole idea of doing all these live, like I was doing this stuff like every day. It was more like I was not, but it got less studying and me more talking. So that's not how you get better in Japanese. Talking about learning Japanese. That just doesn't work. Same with getting into, Reddit or 4chan and getting into debates about what's good or what's not. The biggest thing is, get to the point where you can read Japanese every day and watch Japanese every day. That's really what you want. That's how you will get better. Now, and the structured study just makes that a bit more efficient. But don't fall in the trap where you only do the structured study, because you're not going to get good in Japanese. You're not going to get very good in Japanese that way. And don't fall in the trap where you just enjoy watching Japanese, because you're kind of just going to ignore a lot of stuff. And you can learn, but don't confuse the fact that you're learning something means that it's great if you found out like you could have learned faster in another way. It's kind of like, hey, think of those people who take an hour to save $1. Can you imagine that? Like, someone who or used $5 worth of gas to save 10 cents a gallon when they go and purchase it. I mean, it's an insane. The payoff isn't worth it. When just a little bit of effort on the structured part of things would give you a lot more bang for the buck on the immersion parts of things, and vice versa. And plus, you got to look at it. You're doing this for fun. Just say, hey, look, I'm just learning Japanese. Like for me, I'm learning Japanese because I live in Japan. All right. If you want to learn Japanese because you want to enjoy anime or want to enjoy manga, that's great. That's a noble reason to do it. Don't try to justify the reasons you're learning Japanese to other people. All right. The method which you're learning Japanese, that's the part that you be willing to open up for discussion and be willing to change, because there may be better ways which you can learn Japanese. And that's kind of what the hopes. And this is Let's Learn Japanese, but again, it originally was suggested. So there's no hard rules here. What's working for me or Navy Dave or another person on the Discord may not work for you. So be willing to change up. Be willing to, and hopefully the way I put the recommendations or suggestions out there, it said that this is not a hard fast rule, and it's just. But I'm trying to think if it's worked for me, and try to be a little honest into how good or how bad something was when I was studying. How would that impact someone? What impact would it have on another person? Then in other words, could they have the same results that I had? I have to. That's all. And is it repeatable? Is it something that's reasonably can be done by other people? And try not to downplay it if they decide to do something differently. It's like, okay, look, it's you. You know yourself better than I do. Right? You don't have to justify. You can just okay. I said you could justify, but it's like you just have to think about it and say, hey, you know what you're doing may not be working as good as another idea. But but that other idea just may not be applicable to you. Like you just don't have that situation to utilize it. Okay, then fine. As long as the you of today knows more than the you of yesterday, I think and overall it's a win. Trying to make it a bit more efficient and get more out of this. If you are setting aside a time, like say an hour or two a day, you're trying to get a lot more out of that hour too. Get more out of it, and make sure it's not in a way that burns you out. And that's what the structured studying part of things. And then the immersion, it just, immersion is just stuff that you have fun watching. If you have fun watching reading graded readers, and read graded readers. Have fun watching children's shows. In Japanese, watch children's shows. If it's anime, watch anime. If it's drama, watch drama. If it's reading light novels, read light novels. If it's reading manga, read manga. If it's reading history or nonfiction, read history, nonfiction. It's all good, okay? There's lots of resources for Japanese. There's many, many resources for Japanese. And it's one of the hardest languages out there to learn if you're a native English speaker. In fact, it probably is the hardest language you can learn. As far as ones that still exist and is actually sought to be learned by other people. But fortunately, it's also a language that has a lot of resources to help you learn it. And who knows? Like I said, if you do get good in Japanese, and it's a good mindset to say, you know what? Hey, I'm good in Japanese now. I want to get good in Spanish or get good in French or something, because knowing one of those languages, especially if you like myself live in Japan, maybe working as an interpreter, learning Spanish could be very good, because the group of people I'm going to interact with, there may be Spanish speakers among them, and be able to discuss in Spanish as opposed to Japanese or English could be a win. It just gives me a a leg up on that. Who knows, or explaining something from Japanese into Spanish, or explaining something from English into Spanish, or vice versa. That's as you get good into Japanese, you find out that it could open up job opportunities. It's something to look forward to. All right, I'm talking a little bit too much as always, but yeah, this has been fun. I look forward to doing it in February, and hopefully my level improves. Again, I'm moving from the N3 realm of things into the N2 realm of things, and do that for a few months, and then hopefully I'll be able to move into the N1 realm of things if all goes well. As well as reading and watching a lot more Japanese, so my actual level, not just my potential. JLPT I looked at as potential. Instead of proficiency, your potential Japanese level potential, language potential. But yeah, time will tell. Thank you all very much. This is Nuke Marine. I'll be back sometime once I get up to episode 3 of Keikon Dekinai Toko. I'll be doing another Let's Read, and yeah, I think those are I'll limit my live streams to that, to just the based on the drama stuff. I might do once in a while do a let's study, like I kind of demonstrated with showing Anki. I'll do it with the vocabulary and whatnot, and see how that goes. But yeah, I'll try to mainly just do it to Let's Reads. Thank you all very much. It's Nuke Marine, and I'll see you whenever. See you soon. How's that? All right, see you soon.